When we go into things and we don't really weigh the true cost of things and we get feelings aside, love is great. Love is amazing. Love doesn't pay the bills. Well, you would hope that love would create a drive in you to be a provider and to be a protector.
Yes.
But we have to have those real conversations with our kids. And parents, it's okay to let your kids have opinions and talk back to you. If you just get to where you are the deciding factor of everything your kid does and they never have an opinion, you're not raising somebody to communicate. You're raising a listener, and you're raising a good liar, because they're just going to look at you and agree with you, and they're going to go out and do whatever they're going to do anyways. They're just going to lie to you about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't always think that way, you know. And then I worked with kids for years, and then I have a daughter. She's about to be a teenager, and as good as she is and as well behaved, and her and I have such an open line of communication, so much so that some of my friends are like, how do you get your daughter to talk to you like that? Like, she talks to you about everything. Because I listen. If I didn't listen, she wouldn't talk to me. And that's not saying I'm like this great guy. Just in that area, I've been very purposeful to let her talk. Instead of saying, no, I let her talk. And she talks to me about the school drama. She's going to a dance tonight. She's excited about that. And she was going with the boy. And I'm like, okay, and then at the last minute, she's like, well, I'm not going to go with him. I'm just going to go with all my friends. I'm like, kind of like that.
Yeah, good idea.
I like that idea. And I'm not worried about everybody else's boys, because I hope I'm raising a daughter that will speak up and say, hey, you're not going to do that. And then if they do cross some lines, she knows how to headbutt. She knows how to put a chokehold, and she knows how to throw a punch. But more than that, she knows how to pick the phone up and call and say, Dad, this is what's going on. And when we get purposeful about what we're doing, purpose now will save you grief later.
I honestly believe that the confidence that gets instilled that early, that's important, right? You've obviously instilled an amount of confidence in her to where she can come to you and talk. And that's where that open line of communication, where you listen, where it matters. Because every day I pick Cyrus up from school, and the first thing I do is I ask him how his day was, if he had fun, and I just let him go and tell me about his day. I'm showing that I'm interested in it. I'm letting him talk. I'm not interrupting him or telling him what he should be doing, right? And I got a really good report from his teacher the other day, but it wasn't a direct report from his teacher. My daughter's been, substituting at a school in another kindergarten class.
Okay. I thought you meant Kaylee at first. I'm like,
oh no. One of my oldest, at least, she's been substituting at another kindergarten class at his school. And it's funny because Cyrus's teacher walked by, and she said something to Cyrus, and she couldn't believe that this other teacher, this sub, was talking to Cyrus, and Cyrus was like, no, that's my sister. And she was 18 years older than him, 19 years older than him. But she's like, Cyrus is a leader in class. He is one of the most well-behaved students in class. And hearing that from a third party, through those channels, just makes me, we're doing something right, and I think it has to do with the confidence we've instilled in him, not only through martial arts, right? That happens. That's an extracurricular activity still. We want it to be that way because we want it to be fun for him, right? If we made that his life every day, he would get bored with it. And he does have to go to jiu-jitsu twice a week, right? That's mandatory. Jiu-jitsu twice a week is mandatory. Team sport, play whatever you want, right? You can play. You're going to play a team sport, and you're going to do jiu-jitsu. That's that's kind of how we've structured things. But that's given him confidence to be a leader in class, and we see that.
If that continued growth could be put purposefully into every kid. And we've said it before on here. There's a lot of kids that go home and they're not raised in a home of love or compassion, and
And I feel so bad for those kids.
I do too.
I feel so bad for them.
And who and where that carries on, when I got out into the dating world and I got around some amazing women, but they were raised in a home where there was no affection, there was no love. And when it comes to the emotional connection you have with somebody to share like feelings or share affection, it's just like, it's like talking to that TV right there. And you want to say, well, what's wrong with them? No, that's just how they were raised. There are some people that argue when they talk and they don't mean anything by it. They were just raised in a home where there was arguing all the time.
Yep.
And with everything that we have going on, we don't need to be worrying about giving our kids puberty blockers. We need to look at their emotional well-being. I turned on the other night. I know you've seen it. What's funny is I don't watch any new movies. I watch documentaries or older movies. I turned on Parenthood. I don't know if you've ever seen Parenthood.
Yeah, I remember Parenthood.
But the scene where he's daydreaming about, how awesome his son's going to be. And then it goes to the other daydream where his son's in the tower shooting because he made him play second base. You made me play second base. And he's like, oh, God, what do I do? Do I make him do it or do I not make him do it?
Wow, that's such an old movie.
That's an old movie.
That's an old one. 80s, 90s?
Yeah, I think it's like 91, 90, yeah.
That's old.
That's old.
Steve Martin.
In the late 1900s, as Peyton always reminds me.
Damn, that makes me feel...
Anytime I say anything about growing up, she's like in the 1900s? I'm like, you're funny. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, I mean, it was the 1900s. I'm like, yeah, it was.
Think about what all your old man's seen.
Yeah.
I saw the turn of a century.
Liz said it one day in here with us, and she was so right. We were like one of the last breeds of no internet, mm-hmm. no cell phones. We played outside from sun up till sundown. Our parents didn't think anything of when our friends were over to walk over and flop the TV off and say, go outside.
Yeah.
And they'd lock the door.
Drink out of the hose.
Yeah, get out. Yeah. And we need more of that. Kids need to take direction, but some of the greatest lessons I learned was by trial and error.
Well, yeah, you learn from your mistakes. Yeah. That's the best teacher on the planet.
I fell out of a tree. I had never worked a double extension ladder. I was all the way at the top of a 20-foot double extension ladder, and I didn't realize I didn't put the locks on it. And why it didn't fall, it fell when I was all the way at the top. I fell, landed on the ladder, and a guy named Carl Rapsilver was with me, and he turned white as a sheet, and he takes off running and gets my mom. Well, she just comes out, and she's just kind of looking at me. Well, I was moving around. She's like, well, you're moving, so you're not hurt that bad. And, she kind of looked me over, and I got up, and, then we started laughing. Man, that happened now. You need to go have a CAT scan. You need to have an MRI. You need to, and I do believe that we need to take care of ourselves. But it was such a different era to where we'd be at our friend's house if we got hurt and our parents were in there talking. Are they bleeding? No. Then y'all are fine. Yeah. Go.
I'm totally picturing Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase when the ladder falls.
Yes.
I'm just seeing you.
It was bad. It was bad. It happened right over here on this property. And right where we're sitting right now, and this is all woods, we camped out here. We'd camp out here all the time and have BB gun wars. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we got shot in the face and the ears. I had big ears. I remember my buddy Tyson, Tyson, mm-hmm. shot me in the ear. We did some crazy stuff growing up to where if kids did it now, they'd go to jail. Now, granted, BB gun wars wasn't the smartest thing.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the best.
But we had such freedom, and we didn't think about certain things to where now I live on a private road, and my daughter, she's got a ritual. Every day she gets home, she goes down to Grandma's house, and she spends about 45 minutes with Grandma.
Good for her.
She loves Grandma.
Good for her.
But the first thing I tell her, take Roman. Roman drives me nuts. He's a great dog. I don't have enough time to play with him as much as I'd like, so when she's here, I never see him. They go down to Grandma's house. Grandma decides to walk back with her. Roman's sitting there, and he sticks right next to Peyton. Mm-hmm. His hair goes up. He goes to the edge of the woods and just starts going nuts. There's a guy sleeping in the woods. The guy pops up, and he's like, whoa, whoa, and Rowan was about ready to rip him apart, and I'm glad. Mm-hmm. So my dad went over and told him, hey, look, man, you got to go. This is private property. This is private property. You got to get out here, and that dog will kill you. Like, you got to go. And
who was it?
Don't know. Just
some vagrant.
Yeah. And that's why every time she goes, I'm like, take Roman with you.
That's crazy. That's happening out
here. Just right over here, the Joe's drive-thru. The homeless population has taken over Joe's drive-thru now that it closed down. They got an encampment in there, like 5 or 6, 7 people staying in there, and all hours of the night they're in and out nonstop. And it's like, we want people to get help. I want you, but you know what? When you're out robbing and stealing and breaking in, I don't want you here. There are so many outlets to find help. There are help wanted signs all over the place that people want to get a job, work, but no, they go out stealing constantly. And it is so tragic that people have gotten to that place they feel that's their only outlet. And I wish I knew what to do to help them, but I finally realized I can't help everybody, but there's somebody that will have a compassion for them that knows how to help them. Used to, I thought, when I was younger, I had to be involved in everything and be the end all and say all of everything. But now I realize, no, get the right people in the place to facilitate that. But when it starts becoming detrimental, when you're coming on our private property and sleeping, and my daughter's walking up and down this road, and this used to be a place where I didn't have to worry about anything. And now when she goes down to Grandma, I sit and watch her walk down to Grandma. It's only 600 feet, but it's like, I don't want my daughter to be raised in an area where she feels unsafe. And safety, not only is it their physical safety, but it's a mental aspect. Mental safety and stability really does breed confidence, like you were talking about earlier. And when you feel unsafe, like I can't even walk down to Grandma's house, or now anytime we're outside, we're playing darts on the back porch. She beat me the other night for the first time in darts. Really beat me. Like, I didn't let her win. I never let her win. I'm that guy. We play basketball. I swat her out in the ditch all the time.
You're out there Billy Madison. Way to go.
But that now when she hears something, Dad, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know, baby. All day long.
I know.
It's nonstop.
I'm hearing it, and I can't. Growing up out here just wasn't like that.
Life Flight they might as well just build a helipad out here.
Really?
It's nonstop.
These are dangerous roads.
Very dangerous.
They're very dangerous, especially with all the construction going on. People still flying through here,
and the roads aren't marked too well. Mm-mm. At night, it's pretty hairy.
Yeah, it's hard pulling out here when I leave, even during the day.
And when it's school time and I got to take Peyton to school, we can sit at the end of the road sometimes for 8 to 10 minutes just trying to get out. And it'll be nice when they finally get everything done. And I've heard some people say that there's a lot of investors that are waiting for the road to get done, and then they're going to come in and try to get up by like that place and clean it up. Because Huffman's a great town. I mean, growing up, Huffman was such a safe place. I used to be able to get on my bike and ride down to Smith Ranch on the road at night to go see my buddy. And guess what? Maybe 2 cars passed.
It's not like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore, man.
Yeah. That's why Mom and Dad got out of here. And I absolutely love where they're at. Up in Richards, that area. That's up there in between Huntsville and College Station. Very, very nice.
Great area.
Great area. Love it up there. Kids love it. We're headed up there tonight. Can't wait to get up there.
Y'all got a feeder set up?
There's a feeder there. We're not taking any game right now.
Is Grandma like, those are my deer?
No, not really. I mean, they would probably wouldn't mind us taking 1 or 2, but I'm kind of letting them. I would much rather.
Is that a doe-less county? Like you have to have at least 50 acres to take a doe?
I don't know.
Because I know Leona is. We were up there and we realized we couldn't harvest a doe because you have to have.
In Leon County, you couldn't. Mm-mm. That's weird because we have. My parents have property in Leon County too.
Yeah, it's a. If you don't have 50 acres. Now I'm going back. This was the last time I was hunting out there was 2008 or 9. So stuff changes. all the
Populations
time.
may have changed by
Yeah.
then, because they go and do those surveys every year and look at what you can and can't take.
But speaking of hunting, that's something to get your kids involved with. I watched a video a buddy of mine sent me of a guy who went to a park where you're allowed to hunt. They have it, and he was coming out, and this guy and his son are out there. His son was probably 11 years old, cussing this guy out. You're an effing murderer and blankety blank blank. And I'm like, dude, your kid's 11 years old talking to an adult that way. Like, what in the world? And the guy said, son, where do you think your food comes from?
Oh yeah.
Where do you think your food comes from? When you just because you don't see it, where do you think that that animal?
They just make it at the grocery store.
Yeah.
They make it there.
Well, now they're printing meat.
That's ridiculous.
That's
I don't
insane.
know. I don't know the science behind that or how they're doing that, but that to me just sounds like that's a bad idea. Like that's some kind of cancer waiting to happen.
Only in America.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. And aren't they trying to push that? Who's trying to push that? Gates?
Yeah, and then with the chicken that you can now buy at grocery stores, that was never part of a chicken.
You see, that right there that right there makes me nervous. Okay, because that's almost like they're trying to create their own kind of market.
Well, it ought to let you
You know-
know that meat is so delicious that they have to try to make fake meat.
It just, to me, that's strange.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go off and do that? What's the purpose behind that? It's money.
Money.
I think it's money. They're trying to outlaw agriculture and create their own force. They want to control food.
Absolutely.
The elite want to control the food supply.
Well, we were talking about the gasoline and the prohibition. When you look at, was it Rockefeller? When Rockefeller was in control of all the oil and the government stepped in and said he had a monopoly, so they broke his company up into 2,500 other companies. What they failed to tell everybody is the government was trying to look like a hero. What they did is they worked a back-end deal with him to let him have ownership of part ownership in every single one of those 2,500 companies. And he made more money then than he ever made when he thought he had the monopoly. It's all about money.
Yeah.
It's all about money.
Yeah, everything's about money.
And we need to get this clear. And people say, well, the Bible says money's the root of all evil. That's not what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. It takes money to make the world go round.
Yeah, you need money.
You have to.
You have to have it.
If not, you'll be sleeping out on private property.
Right.
I
mean, you got to have it. I don't want it to be right now, in my 40s, I'm trying to make as much of it as I can.
Yeah.
Right? Because eventually I don't want to do this anymore. Right? But at the same time, I'm not going to do anything nefarious or underhanded to try to get it.
Yeah.
Because that's against my values. But there are people out there that I know that will do anything, screw anybody over to get what they want. They will steal. They will lie.
Yeah.
And chickens are going to come home to roost for some of those people.
Well, look at, and I'm going to say, it was on the news, so it has to be true. Car inflation is at an all-time high. The last time I went and bought a vehicle, there's a guy I go to because he's a good friend of mine, and there is no game playing. But one of the things that got me when I went, I knew what my credit was because I went to the bureaus. I didn't go to, they now can tell you, oh, well, your credit doesn't matter because we go off a different scoring system. And it's like, what? So now I just deal with him. And when it comes time to get another vehicle, I'm just going to go to a bank and get my financing ahead of time and go get a vehicle because you'd never know. And people are like, oh, you're bashing car salesmen. Yeah, there's a lot of them have a bad name. I have a good friend of mine I worked with. His name was Rodney, and he was a great salesperson. He went to work for a high-end car dealership, and when he went to their training, the guy putting on said, if you don't have larceny in your heart, you will not be a good car salesman. He got up and walked out.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm out of here. I'm
Yeah,
not
I've
doing
been in
this.
sales before. You don't have to lie to people.
No.
You have to outwork your competition.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't lie to them. Outwork your competition. What I like to do whenever I was in sales, I never lied to people. I would not lie to people. But what I would do is I would keep that customer so busy with me asking questions, wanting to get in depth, wanting to know more, right? I want to make sure I deliver the exact product that you're looking for, okay? And what it did was, one, it didn't give them time to talk to my competitors. Right? It didn't give them time to do that, but it also showed how much interested I was to be able to help them with whatever problem I was going to be able to solve for them. And so I didn't have to lie to people about it. I just outworked my competition, and I did very well.
When I worked at the Men's Warehouse, they had a deal called multiples. If somebody comes in needing a suit, they want you to try to sell them two.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, we have people come in, they've never owned a suit, and the guy's wife just died. And you want me to try to back end sell this guy to raise profit. You don't want me to deal with him in his grief and what he's going through and what he needs. No, we just have to push. And if you didn't, you got a write-up for not having multiples. And it really kind of disgusted me because everybody's different when you're dealing, and that's the thing about dealing with people. You have to meet people on their emotional level. You have to meet people where they're at. If I'm talking to somebody and I'm trying to bring them into my realm of thinking, what I'm really saying is, until you think like me, then you're not thinking correctly. So I couldn't stand it that, a guy come in is in the middle of complete and utter grief, and I'm like, well, hey, here's a blue blazer. You need this blue blazer because, and it really shut me off. But like you're saying, meet people on what they need, because guess what? Next time they need something, they will come back. When we had our military shop up here, I still deal with customers all the time. Call them, get a hold of me, get them stuff. When you come in, I'm not going to try to sell you. Well, we're a specialty shop. So when people come in, they pretty much had an idea what they were looking for immediately. Mm-hmm. But no, we had a great rapport, had great reviews online because we were, and one of the nicest comments that I ever got was over race. A black lady came in. To me, a customer came in. Didn't matter what color she was. And I just treated her like I would treat everybody. Man, she went online. This is the best place I've ever been. I'm a woman of color, and they treated me with kindness. And I'm like,
well, that's the way it should be.
We're going to treat everybody with kindness.
That's the way it should be.
You're a human being.
It doesn't matter, right? Everybody has a right to be treated, with respect. Until they're not. Right? But when you first meet somebody, you don't want to pass an initial judgment on them. I never do that. I mean, people look at me now. They see me with tattooed arm, ruffian look. But I think I'm a pretty nice dude. So I want to make sure that I'm treating other people the same way, right? I don't judge them on that initial, meeting, but. Now, if that initial meeting goes awry, then
And I think parents, if you're listening to this, or if a young person's listening to this, guys like Joe and I'm nice. I'm nice to everybody, but don't think that I don't have a no-go area. And when you go to that area, and I've told you, hey man, we're not going to do that. And if you push the envelope, now I'm a different person.
Yeah.
Now the conversation's probably over.
Yep.
And
done.
And I'm going to create distance between you and I. But I think sometimes I keep going to videos. So when I watch videos, I'm probably like everybody. 95% of all the videos I see is when I'm going to the bathroom. I take my phone out and I'll go through all the messages. I got buddies. We send stuff back and forth. This man, he's like 65, 70 years old. And there's 3 reporters out there, young reporters, and you can tell they're trying to play and bait people in. And this old man is walking his dog, and the guy asked him a stupid question. He said, man, get the hell out of here. Get out of my neighborhood. And the guy smarted off to him. He goes, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go put my dog up. He goes, see that fence over there? Y'all meet me over there, and I'll take on all 3 of you one at a time. And they're like, what in the world? That guy already told you, get away from me, get out of my face, and you continued to follow him. and you just thought he was a nice old man because he is a nice old man. But now you got into his personal space, and he changed so fast that now they want to be like, oh, he's crazy, something's wrong with him. No, he already told you to leave him alone. When you are messing with somebody and they're saying, hey, stop, it's not because they're scared of you. It's not because they're not, intelligent. They just don't want to have to deal with you. But if you push the envelope, there are people out there that change so fast. And the way we grew up, I learned not to say certain things to people. We already said it earlier, because if I did, you learned real quick, you know what, I don't like this fat lip. I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
And
because there's consequences
for everything.
Yeah.
Except
consequences.
Unless you're, in the Biden family, and then you can,
Those people are a joke, man. I'm so tired of seeing. I mean, none of them are on our side.
No.
None of them. Look at the 4 Republicans that voted not to impeach Mayorga the other day. What is wrong with you? What are you doing?
There's a back end deal somewhere.
There's something going on somewhere, because that's the easiest vote in our House of Representatives that I've seen in the last 10 years. That's one of the easiest votes. Get that guy out of here. We've had how many people since this thing started with Biden? 8 million have come across or something like that. That's ridiculous. That's big. That's the size of Chicago.
Yeah.
That's how many people have gotten here in this during this administration, and that's just unheard of. Those people cannot keep getting away with this.
And they know, not they think, they know of known terrorists that have come across the border. They know, not like
you saw the guy, the other day.
You'll know my name.
Yeah, you'll know my name, and then the facial recognition, like an 84% positive hit that he's been convicted of terrorist crimes before. And this guy, and now where's he at? Where's he at now?
They don't know.
They have no clue.
Thank God for Greg Abbott. May not always agree with everything he does. But
I don't, but that was gangster.
That was awesome.
But he did was straight gangster.
Yeah.
And keep doing it.
Keep
sending them up to New York. Keep sending them up to Chicago, because what's going to happen is what they want them staying here, right? Because what they want to do is they want to hand them ballots in November and have them go vote and turn Texas blue. Abbott wasn't letting that happen. He sent their asses up to New York, Chicago. Keep sending them, because what's going to happen is he's going to piss off that base up there. They're getting pissed. Well, wouldn't you be pissed too if your kids had to go back to remote school because now they had 800 migrants living in your gymnasium at the school? Now you're not allowed to be there. Now your kids aren't getting the proper education. What about the parents that work? And now they've got to be. Who's going to be at home with their kids, making sure they're doing the work?
Did you see the lady in New York who's asking people, "Open up your home, open up your room"?
I thought that was in Boston.
Was it Boston?
Yeah, but still, moron.
What if you do that? You're never going to be able to get them to leave. What are you supposed to say? Hey, you got to get out now? No, they're going to fight you like they did those police officers in New York.
And that's ridiculous that they got no bail. They didn't have to pay any. They didn't have to pay any bail to get out. And now what? Only one of them. They only have one of them in custody. The rest of them are gone. Right? That's just ridiculous. And I think that people are seeing it now. I think that the wool's been it's been pulled back. People are seeing what's going on. And by the way, we've been dealing with this shit in Texas for decades. Suck it up.
For decades.
Right? I don't feel sorry for you one bit. You keep voting this way. You're the one who's bringing this to our doorstep. Well, now we're bringing it to yours. And if you don't like it, then vote differently.
Yeah. And you know what? If you don't want to get cut up by razor wire, don't cross it.
Go to a port of entry. Do it the right way.
Do it the right way.
Do it the way my wife did it.
Yeah.
You think she has any sympathy for the no way. And look at it down there. You've got women and children here and there, but the majority that I've seen are military age males. What are they running from? And now one of the biggest demographics you're seeing, or one of the biggest nationalities you're seeing coming across the border is China. That's a problem. They are our global enemy and our global rival, and we are just allowing them to walk across the Rio Grande and get into our country.
One of my best clients, his name's Nacho. He came from Venezuela. Mm-hmm. He was part of one of the elite, would technically be like their Marine infantry. Mm-hmm. He came to America legally, and he owns a construction business, very successful construction mm-hmm. business. He will not hire one illegal. So he was in there one day, and he said, David, he said, I catch a lot of flack. He said, because I'll go to these job sites, and when I'm doing stuff, the first thing I ask, are these guys documented? And it's always white people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's racist. It's not racist.
No.
It's not racist because he said, we did this legally, and these guys are undercutting every job we're doing. They don't pay taxes, and they get the work over guys that have come here and put in the time and the effort. And not only did they do it legally, but whenever we went, we became a citizen. We took an oath. We said the pledge. We became citizens of this country because we love it. He said, now it's just being overrun. He said, I can't stand it. He's like, I hate it.
Yeah, my son's Venezuelan.
And his daughter just left for the Marine Corps.
Oh, Semper Fi.
Just left.
Good for
And
her.
he would come in anytime we had Marine flags, any of the Devil Dog shirts, man, he'd come and buy every single one of them for his family members. Super proud of his daughter, and rightfully so.
Yeah, it should be.
But he just looked and he said, David, this is what I don't understand. How is it racist to ask for an ID to vote?
They know it's not.
It's just the narrative.
They know it's not. They know it's not racist. They have to show an ID when they vote. So these white megaphones, these white bodies with a megaphone on their neck, they keep going out and saying that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to. How's it? We ask you for an ID. Is that racist? Because we're asking you. You're white.
We're seeing the shift. Okay, here's a good example. You have Netflix?
Yes.
You got to watch this.
Oh, shit.
Woodstock 99.
Seen it.
When you looked at the lady, remember the lady that was up in the tower the whole time? That was at the original Woodstock, and she just sat there and almost was in tears the whole time. She's like, this was nothing like. And guess what? Now they came out and they're like, talking about maybe 2029 doing it, and they're like, nope, we will not do another Woodstock, because the culture has changed so much that you can't get that large of a group of people together anymore, because it turns into anarchy.
Yeah, it does. Well, that's what happens whenever you get that. I don't want to say tribal again, but it becomes this mob mentality,
Yeah.
Right, and destruction. So that begs the question again. Is it the constraints that society and institutions put on society that causes that, or is that human nature, right? Or is it just kind of where we're headed? Has it always been there? Is it some kind of underlying characteristic of ours? I don't know how. I watched that documentary though, and it did get way out of hand at Woodstock '99.
I tell you what really, made the hair stand up on my arms, because I remember this. I remember when seeing it on MTV. Fred Durst, he was up there dancing on that wood. But I remember the ambulance coming through. And then just a couple nights ago, come to find out why that ambulance was driving around. They were raping a 15-year-old girl in there. And it's just like, what in the world is wrong with people? What in the world? And like they said, they didn't have enough security to take care of everything. When there is no law, people are barbaric. When there is no repercussion, you can do whatever you want. There's going to be a group of people who are going to do whatever they want. And as they saw, it catches on like wildfire. And the guy, remember, he said, well, we had a small group of individuals. Well, when you have 200,000 people, 1% is 2,000 people.
Yeah, which is enough. That's enough. That's plenty. That's plenty. A mob of 2,000 people. That's a massive amount of people.
And they tore that place to pieces.
Yeah, they did. It was bad. I saw that documentary. It's especially the part about the 15-year-old girl. That was troubling. That's seeing that.
And as a parent, I see stuff like that, and I realize there's certain places I don't want my daughter to go.
Yeah.
And I understand when she gets older, she's gonna go certain places, and I hope I still instill enough cognitive thought, like, whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna steer clear of over there, because if we don't get grips on morals and truth, so if they legalize murder tomorrow, is that okay? No.
No.
But it's legal, and we already know people toe the line of legal and not legal. And if you don't believe that, look at your taxes. Okay, so we all toe the line of what we can and can't do. So when we allow certain things to become legal, look at Portland. A friend of mine I've been talking back and forth with. She's from Portland. She's in her mid-50s, and she's like, it is not where I grew up. And now they have the open air drug use. Basically, all drugs are legal, and people are like, good for them because they don't live there.